The lights on the bridge of the Intrepid dimmed as Captain Lisa Stewart stared at the view screen. The crystalline ship hanging in space before them sparkled like a massive diamond catching starlight from a dozen directions at once. It was beautiful, alien, and clearly damaged. Deep fractures ran along one side where some kind of weapon had struck it. "Life signs?" Lisa asked, her voice steady despite the tension she felt. This was humanity's first encounter with a non-human vessel beyond the edges of explored space. Lieutenant Adam Cole studied his console, adjusting settings to better read the unknown ship. "Definite energy patterns that suggest life, Captain, but nothing like our biosigns. Whatever's in there, it's not carbon-based like us." Lisa nodded. Humanity had prepared for this moment for generations. First contact protocols were drilled into every space fleet captain. "Open a channel, all frequencies, universal greeting package." The communications officer sent the carefully crafted message. Mathematical sequences followed by basic chemical formulas and simple images designed to show peaceful intent. They waited 5 minutes with no response. "Should we back off, Captain?" asked Commander Eric Bennett, her second in command. His hand hovered near the navigation controls. Lisa shook her head. "They're damaged. They might need help." As if in response to her words, the crystal ship pulsed with light. Once, twice, 3 times in sequence. "That's not random," Lisa said. "They're responding." The crystal ship suddenly projected a beam of light toward the Intrepid. Rather than a weapon, it formed into a 3-dimensional image in the center of the bridge. A moving figure made of what looked like walking crystal, its body composed of angular, translucent planes that caught and reflected light. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Stephen Collins, the ship's chief scientist. "A light-based hologram, but with depth and detail I've never seen before." The crystal figure raised what might have been a hand, palm outward in what seemed like a universal gesture of peace. Then it pointed urgently back toward its ship where the damage was visible. "They need help," Lisa said. "Prepare a boarding party. Full environmental suits, first contact protocols." She stood up. "I'll lead it myself." "Captain," Eric objected, "regulations state that first contact is at the discretion of the commanding officer." Lisa finished for him. "I've studied for this my whole career, Eric. I'm going." 30 minutes later, Lisa stepped through the airlock onto the crystal ship with Dr. Collins, Lieutenant Grace Martinez, and 2 security officers. The interior was even more beautiful than the exterior. Hallways and chambers formed from interlocking crystal structures that somehow bent and flexed as they moved. They found the crew in what appeared to be the ship's control center. 12 beings made of crystal, each about 5 feet tall with roughly humanoid shapes. Their bodies were semi-transparent, with cores that glowed with internal light of varying colors. One stepped forward, its core pulsing with blue light that seemed to flow through crystalline veins. It raised its hand in the same peaceful gesture they had seen in the hologram. "Translator ready?" Lisa asked quietly. "Running, but I need more input to build a language model," Adam replied through her comm link. The crystal being suddenly produced, a series of musical tones that resonated through its body. The sounds had clear patterns. Language. Dr. Collins activated a device that projected a simple image, the solar system. Then he pointed to Earth, and then to himself and the other humans. The crystal being understood. It created a light display that showed another star system with a crystal-covered planet. Then the image changed to show massive ships attacking the planet, shattering portions of it. The crystal beings fleeing. "They're refugees," Lisa said softly. "Their world was attacked." The being nodded, a surprisingly human gesture. It had been studying them too. Over the next 8 hours, with the translator program gathering more data, communication improved. The beings called themselves Zirelians. Their attackers were the Doraxian Empire, a powerful species that had been expanding through this sector of space for centuries. "The Zirelians' physiology is amazing, Doctor," Collins reported excitedly to Lisa after running scans. "Their bodies store and process information like living computers. They literally think at the speed of light." The leader of the Zerelians, who called itself Crystal Song, showed them a star map. It pointed to a small moon where the remaining Zerelians had taken refuge, but the map also showed Doraxian scout ships approaching. "They're asking for protection," Adam said, the translator now working well enough for basic conversation. "They believe their people will be extinct within one orbit of their moon around its gas giant." Lisa felt the weight of the decision before her. Humanity had hoped first contact would be peaceful scientific exchange. Getting involved in an alien conflict could be dangerous, but looking at the desperate crystal beings, she couldn't ignore their plea. "Tell them we'll help," she said firmly. Back on the Intrepid, Olivia Wright, the ship's diplomatic officer, raised concerns. "Captain, we don't know anything about galactic politics. There could be reasons other species haven't interfered with these Doraxians." "There's a reason we should," Lisa replied. "Because it's right. These beings are peaceful and face extinction. What kind of first impression would humanity make if we just walked away?" The Intrepid escorted the Zerelian ship to the refugee moon, a small rocky world orbiting a gas giant. Nearly 3,000 crystal beings had made a settlement there, living in structures carved into the moon's surface. Engineer Kate Franklin marveled at their technology. "Captain, despite being refugees with limited resources, their tech is decades ahead of ours in some areas. Their method of energy manipulation is like nothing I've ever seen." 2 days after their arrival, the Intrepid's sensors detected a large ship entering the system. Its design matched what the Zerelians had shown of Doraxian vessels: angular, black, and bristling with weapon ports. "They're broadcasting something," Adam reported. "The translator is processing it now." A harsh voice filled the bridge. "Attention, unknown vessel. You are harboring fugitive Zerelian specimens claimed by the Doraxian Empire. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed with them." Lisa exchanged glances with her officers. They were outnumbered and likely outgunned. The reasonable choice was to retreat and report back to Earth. Instead, she stood. "Open a channel." When the connection was established, she spoke clearly. "This is Captain Lisa Stewart of the Earth vessel Intrepid. The Zerelians are under our protection. Any aggression against them will be considered an act of war against humanity." She nodded to Adam to cut the transmission. "Captain," Eric said quietly, "they have us outgunned at least 3-1. "Yes," Lisa agreed, watching the Doraxian ship on the view screen. "But they don't know that we don't know that." She turned to communications. "Contact Earth. Tell them we've made first contact and we need the fleet." On the view screen, the Doraxian ship held position, seemingly surprised by the humans' response. In the settlement below, thousands of crystal beings looked up at the sky, experiencing something they had thought lost forever: hope. That was how humanity's first interstellar alliance began, not with careful diplomacy or trade agreements, but with a simple willingness to stand between the helpless and harm. It would not be the last time humans surprised the galactic community with their readiness to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. The first shots fired by the Doraxian ships were meant to end the battle before it began. 5 massive energy beams converged on the Intrepid, enough firepower to vaporize the human vessel. But the beams never reached their target. Instead, they hit an invisible barrier 200 meters from the Intrepid's hull and scattered in brilliant arcs of light that traced geometric patterns in space. For a moment, the outline of a crystalline shield became visible before fading back to transparency. On the Intrepid's bridge, Lisa turned to the Zerelian volunteer who stood connected to a modified console. "That shield worked perfectly. Thank you, Crystal Voice." The Zerelian's body pulsed with pleased blue light. "We channel the energy through pathways similar to our own bodies. Your ship now has a Zerelian skin." Lisa nodded to Commander Eric Bennett. "Let's show them our new targeting systems." The Intrepid fired what appeared to be a small, bright projectile toward the lead Doraxian ship. It moved too fast for the enemy to track. When it struck the hull, it didn't explode. Instead, it spread like liquid crystal across the Doraxian weapon ports, hardening instantly. "Direct hit," Eric reported. "Their main weapons are sealed." On the other side of the Doraxian formation, Captain Ryan Peters's ship, the Defiant, executed. a maneuver that should have been impossible for a vessel its size. It spun on its axis while accelerating, avoiding enemy fire while launching its own crystalline projectiles. 2 more Duraxian ships had their weapons disabled. The Zerelian, navigation improvements are working perfectly. Ryan's voice came over the comm. These big ships can't track us. Admiral Harrison watched from the horizon as his small fleet outmaneuvered the enemies. This isn't just about better technology, he said quietly to Olivia Wright, who stood beside him. The Duraxians expected us to fight like everyone else they've conquered. They've never seen human battle tactics before. As if to prove his point, the Intrepid suddenly cut all engines and appeared to drift. The Duraxians, thinking the human ship disabled, moved closer to capture it. At the last moment, the Intrepid powered up and slipped between 2 enemy vessels, firing crystal projectiles at point-blank range that disabled their engines. They've never fought an enemy who didn't follow their expectations, Olivia realized. They've conquered so many worlds they've become predictable. The battle lasted less than 20 minutes. When it ended, all 5 Duraxian ships were floating powerless but intact. No lives had been lost on either side. Admiral Harrison opened a channel to the Duraxian commander. Your vessels are disabled, not destroyed. We will provide emergency power for life support, but your weapons and engines will remain offline. A transport will be sent to collect your crews. The Duraxian commanders, 4 eyes blinked in what might have been disbelief. Why would you not destroy us? We would have destroyed you. That's the difference between us, Harrison replied simply. Return to your territory with this message. The warning stands. The Zerelians remain under human protection. News of the battle spread quickly through the galactic community. Representatives from species who had previously ignored humanity now requested meetings. The Medusan representative who had warned them about Duraxian power arrived at the Zerelian moon to see for himself. How did such a young species defeat Duraxian warships? He asked Captain Lisa, as they walked through the growing Zerelian settlement. We didn't do it alone. Lisa gestured to where human engineers worked alongside Zerelians. We combined our strengths. The Zerelians understand energy and crystal technology better than we ever could. We understand tactics and unpredictable thinking. The Medusan seemed puzzled. But why risk your lives for them? You had just met the Zerelians. Lisa considered the question. On Earth, we have a concept called the right thing to do. Sometimes you don't need a reason beyond that. On Earth, the news of the Duraxian encounter was met with mixed reactions. Some feared that humanity had made a dangerous enemy. Others were proud that their first major action in galactic affairs had been to protect a peaceful species from extinction. Defense. Contractor Samantha Reeves led a team studying the crystal technology that had proven so effective. The applications go beyond weapons, she explained to military leaders gathered at her laboratory. The Zerelians have shown us how to store energy in crystalline structures. We could revolutionize our power grid, our communications, everything. General, Kevin Wilson nodded thoughtfully. And if the Duraxians return with a bigger fleet? Then we'll be ready, Samantha replied. They didn't have to wait long to find out. 3 days later, long-range sensors detected a massive Duraxian fleet heading toward Earth itself. 30 warships, much larger than those they had encountered before. They're bypassing the Zerelian moon, Eric reported to Lisa and Admiral Harrison. They're going straight for Earth. Harrison's face was grim. They think if they threaten our homeworld, we'll back down and abandon the Zerelians. They don't understand humans very well, Lisa said quietly. Earth's defense fleet, consisting of 15 vessels, mobilized to intercept the Duraxian armada. Every ship had been hastily retrofitted with Zerelian crystal technology, but they were still outnumbered 2-1. Admiral Harrison addressed the fleet from the bridge of the horizon. This is not the fight we sought, but it's the fight we've been given. We issued a warning. Now we show the galaxy we meant it. As the human ships moved into formation, Lieutenant Grace Martinez made a surprising discovery aboard the Intrepid. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the Zerelian volunteers on our ships. Lisa frowned. What kind of signatures? They're communicating somehow? Across space between our ships. Lisa turned to Crystal Voice, who stood nearby. Is this true? Can you communicate between ships? The Zerelian's body pulsed with light. We did not tell you because we feared you would think us too powerful, too strange. But yes, our minds can connect across great distances. We can coordinate your fleet as one unified force. A slow smile spread across Lisa's face. That changes everything. When the Duraxian fleet commander sent his ultimatum demanding Earth's surrender and the abandonment of the Zerelian alliance, Harrison's reply was brief. The warning stands. What followed was not merely a battle, but a demonstration. The human ships moved with impossible coordination, their actions perfectly synchronized despite the distances between them. Crystal shields flared and deflected Duraxian weapons while precisely targeted human counterattacks disabled rather than destroyed the enemy vessels. From his flagship, the Duraxian overseer Krax watched in growing horror as his carefully planned assault fell apart. His ships couldn't land a single effective hit, while one by one their systems were disabled by crystalline projectiles that his scientists couldn't explain. This isn't possible, he hissed to his officers. They're too primitive to have this technology, too weak to stand against us. On the Intrepid's bridge, Lisa watched the battle unfold with a quiet sense of pride. Humanity's first interstellar war was being fought not to conquer or destroy, but to protect. And they were winning. The battle above Earth lasted for 6 hours. When it ended, 28 Duraxian warships floated powerless in space. Only 2 had escaped, racing back toward Duraxian territory with news of the impossible defeat. Admiral Harrison looked at the damage reports with relief. 3 human ships had taken heavy damage, but none were destroyed. Total human casualties, 17 wounded, no deaths. A miracle, General Kevin Wilson said as he joined Harrison on the bridge of the horizon. I never thought we'd survive an attack like that, let alone win it. Not a miracle, Harrison corrected. Cooperation. The Zerelians gave us technology, we provided the strategy. News of the victory spread across Earth. People celebrated in the streets, watching images of the disabled Duraxian fleet on massive screens. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and emerged victorious. But Captain Lisa Stewart didn't join the celebrations. She sat alone in her quarters aboard the Intrepid, studying data from the battle. Something's wrong, she said when Commander Eric Bennett came to check on her. The Duraxians sent 30 ships, but our intelligence suggested they have hundreds, maybe thousands. Eric frowned. You think they're holding back? I think they're planning something bigger, Lisa replied. This was a test to see what we could do. They wanted to measure our capabilities. Her fears were confirmed the next day when long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures from deep space. Dr. Stephen Collins analyzed the data and delivered the news to Admiral Harrison. It's a wormhole signature, he explained, showing the readings on a screen. The Duraxians have technology that can create artificial wormholes. They're gathering a massive fleet on the other side. Harrison's face darkened. How long do we have? 3 days, maybe 4 before they can stabilize the wormhole enough to bring their fleet through. The Admiral immediately called an emergency meeting with Earth's Defense Council and the Zerelian leaders. The situation was grim. Intelligence suggested the Duraxians were gathering their entire Imperial fleet, over 500 warships. We can't win a direct fight against those numbers, General Wilson stated bluntly. Even with the Zerelian enhancements to our ships. Crystal Song, who had been listening quietly, suddenly spoke. Perhaps direct battle is not the only option. All eyes turned to the crystal being whose body pulsed with thoughtful light. The Duraxians use a central command system for their fleet movements, Crystal Song explained. All tactical decisions flow from the flagship. Their captains have little individual authority, Lisa understood immediately. A single point of failure. If we could disrupt that command system. Exactly, Crystal Song confirmed. But to do so would require getting very close to their command ship. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Such a mission would be virtually suicidal. I'll do it, Lisa said finally. The Intrepid is the fastest ship we have and has the most extensive Xerelian modifications. Admiral Harrison looked at her for a long moment. It's a one-way mission, Lisa. Even if you succeed, you might not make it back. I know, she replied steadily. But if we don't try, Earth falls, and the Xerelians will be wiped out completely. While the Intrepid prepared for its dangerous mission, Samantha Reeves made a breakthrough in her Earth laboratory. Working with Xerelian scientists, she had developed a new weapon system that could specifically target the Duraxian command frequencies. It's not just a disruptor, she explained to Lisa as the device was installed on the Intrepid. It's a rewriter. It will replace their combat commands with new ones. What kind of commands? Lisa asked. Samantha smiled. Retreat. Stand down. Power off weapons. Anything we want them to do. The plan took shape quickly. The Intrepid would use its enhanced speed and stealth capabilities to approach the Duraxian command ship through the chaos of battle. Once in range, they would deploy Samantha's device to hijack the fleet's command system. The night before the Duraxian fleet was expected to arrive, Lisa couldn't sleep. She walked through the corridors of her ship, checking on crew members making final preparations. She found Lieutenant Grace Martinez in the ship's lounge staring out at the stars. Nervous? Lisa asked, joining her. Grace nodded. I've been thinking about why we do this. We could have left the Xerelians to their fate. No one would have blamed us. Wouldn't they? Lisa smiled slightly. I would have blamed myself. That's enough. As they talked, a soft glow announced the arrival of Crystal Voice, the Xerelian who had worked most closely with the Intrepid's crew. I have something to share, the crystal being said. Its voice translated into gentle tones. Something we have kept hidden even from our human friends. Lisa and Grace exchanged glances. What is it? Crystal Voice's body pulsed with complicated patterns of light. Our people have a final defense mechanism. In moments of greatest danger, we can channel our collective consciousness through our crystalline forms to create a massive energy discharge. A weapon? Lisa asked. A last resort, Crystal Voice corrected. It requires the sacrifice of the Xerelians involved. Their bodies shatter in the process. Lisa felt a chill. Why are you telling us this now? Because if your mission fails, the Xerelians on your Earth ships will use this ability to protect your planet. We wanted you to understand the sacrifice we are prepared to make for our allies. The next morning, the wormhole opened. The Duraxian fleet began to emerge. Massive warships that dwarfed even their previous vessels. Earth's defense fleet, now consisting of 25 ships thanks to hasty retrofits of every available vessel, moved into position. Admiral Harrison addressed the fleet one last time. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the principle that peaceful beings have the right to exist without fear. Remember our warning to the Duraxians. Today we back it up. The Intrepid took its position behind the main defensive line. As the Duraxian ships continued to pour through the wormhole, Lisa made a final check of Samantha's device. All systems ready, Captain, Eric reported from his tactical station. Xerelian shields at maximum capacity. Lisa looked around at her crew. Humans who had volunteered for what might be a suicide mission to protect not just their own world, but a species they had only recently met. Begin approach vector, she ordered. Keep us hidden in the electromagnetic shadow of the larger ships until we're in position. As the two fleets clashed in bright explosions of energy and light, the Intrepid slipped quietly toward the massive Duraxian command ship. Their mission had begun. On the main view screen, Lisa could see the enormous Duraxian flagship, a vessel larger than any human-built structure in space. At its center was Overseer Krax, the commander who had dismissed humanity's warning as empty words. Let's show them what our warning is worth, Lisa said, her voice calm despite the danger surrounding them. Take us in. The Intrepid moved silently through the chaos of battle, its Xerelian shields bending light around the hull to create a partial cloaking effect. Massive explosions lit up space as Earth's defensive fleet engaged the Duraxian armada, buying time. For Lisa's mission, we're approaching weapons range of the command ship, Eric reported, his voice tense. "They haven't detected us yet." On the main view screen, the enormous Doraxian flagship loomed larger by the second. Its hull was covered with weapon ports and communication arrays. Somewhere deep inside that massive vessel, Overseer Krax was directing the assault on Earth. "Status of Samantha's device?" Lisa asked. Kate Franklin looked up from her engineering station. "Ready to deploy, Captain. We need to get within 1 kilometer of their main communication array." Lisa nodded. "Take us in closer." The Intrepid continued its careful approach, dodging debris and energy blasts from the surrounding battle. They were almost in position when disaster struck. "Captain," Adam called out from communications, "we've been spotted. 3 Doraxian destroyers are breaking formation to intercept us." Lisa made an instant decision. "Maximum speed, head straight for the command ship." The Intrepid surged forward, abandoning stealth for speed. The Doraxian destroyers fired, their energy weapons streaking toward the human vessel. The Zarelian, shields held but barely. "Shields down to 40%, Eric reported. "We can't take many more hits like that." Lisa gripped her chair as the ship shook from another impact. "Distance to target?" 2 kilometers and closing, Eric answered. The Doraxian command ship now filled their entire view screen. It began to turn its massive weapons toward the approaching Intrepid. "They know we're coming for them," Lisa realized. "They're bringing their main batteries to bear." Crystal Voice, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke. "Captain, I can strengthen the forward shields, but it will require direct connection to your ship's systems." Lisa understood what the Zarelian was offering. "You'll burn out your crystalline matrix." "Yes," Crystal Voice's body pulsed with determined light. "But your mission will succeed." Before Lisa could respond, Crystal Voice moved to the main engineering console and placed its crystalline hands directly on the interface. The Zarelian's body began to glow with intense blue light that spread through the ship's systems. The Intrepid's forward shield suddenly blazed with the same blue light, forming a wedge shape in front of the ship. "All power to engines," Lisa ordered. "Take us straight through their defenses." The Intrepid accelerated toward the command ship. The Doraxian vessel fired its main weapons, a barrage that should have vaporized the human ship instantly. Instead, the beams hit the glowing blue shield and scattered harmlessly. Lisa turned to see Crystal Voice's body glowing brighter and brighter, small fractures beginning to appear in its crystalline form. "We're approaching optimal range," Kate called out, "ready to deploy the device." "Do it," Lisa ordered. Kate activated Samantha's device. A focused beam of energy shot from the Intrepid toward the command ship's main communication array. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, across the battlefield, Doraxian ships began to power down their weapons. "It's working," Adam exclaimed. "The command signals are being overwritten." On the bridge of the Doraxian flagship, Overseer Krax watched in horror as his control screens went dark. The carefully coordinated attack patterns dissolved into confusion as ships stopped receiving his commands. Instead, new orders appeared on their screens. "Power down weapons, retreat, stand down." "What is happening?" he demanded. "Override. Override all commands." But it was too late. The device had infected the entire command network. Throughout the Doraxian fleet, captains found themselves unable to control their own ships. Back on the Intrepid, the crew watched in amazement as the massive Doraxian fleet began to drift aimlessly, weapon systems shutting down one by one. "We did it," Lisa breathed. She turned to thank Crystal Voice, but the Zarelian was barely recognizable now. Its once beautiful crystalline form was cracked and dulling. "Your warning had teeth after all," Crystal Voice said, the translator, struggling to convert the weakening tones. "It was an honor to fight alongside humans." With those words, Crystal Voice's body shattered into thousands of glittering fragments that scattered across the bridge. Lisa stood silently for a moment, then turned to her crew. "Let's finish this. Open a channel to Overseer Krax." When the Doraxian commander's face appeared on screen, Lisa spoke clearly and firmly. "This is Captain Lisa, Steward of Earth. Your fleet is now under our control. The attack on Earth and the Zerelians ends today. Krax's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. This is impossible. You cannot command Duraxian ships. Look around you, Lisa replied. We already are. Here are your options. Order your forces to return to Duraxian space immediately, leaving the Zerelians and any other species you've threatened in peace, or we use your own weapons against you. After a long silence, Krax spoke a single word. How? We listened to the species you dismissed as resources, Lisa answered. We learned from them, we protected them, and they protected us in return. 2 days later, Admiral Harrison addressed the Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species watched as the human stood before them, now commanding a very different kind of respect than during his first appearance. The Duraxian fleet has returned to their territory, Harrison announced. They have agreed to cease all aggression against the Zerelian people and other species they previously targeted. The council chamber was silent. Finally, the Medusan representative spoke. You have changed the balance of power in this galaxy overnight. Humans, other species who suffered under Duraxian expansion are already seeking your protection. Harrison shook his head. We didn't do this to become the new power in the galaxy. We did it because it was right. 1 month later, a new settlement began construction on the Zerelian refugee moon. Humans and Zerelians worked side by side, building the first truly integrated multi-species colony in known space. They named it New Alliance. Lisa Stewart, now promoted to admiral, stood on a ridge overlooking the growing settlement. Beside her was a new Zerelian leader who had taken the name Crystal Hope. Your people gave much to save ours, Crystal Hope said. Crystal Voice was only one of many who sacrificed themselves. Lisa nodded. And your people gave us technology and knowledge that advanced us by centuries. I'd say the Alliance has benefited both sides. In the distance, a transport ship from Earth was landing, bringing more volunteers and supplies. News had spread throughout the galaxy of the human victory over the Duraxian Empire. Other species had begun to reach out, seeking diplomatic relations with Earth. What happens now? Crystal Hope asked. Lisa looked up at the stars visible even in the daytime sky of the small moon. Now we build something new, a different kind of relationship between species based on mutual respect and protection. All because humans issued a single warning, Crystal Hope observed. And meant it, Lisa added with a small smile. That's the important part. In the end, it wasn't our technology or even our tactics that won the day. It was the fact that when we say we'll protect our allies, we mean it. As the sun set over New Alliance, ships from a dozen different species entered orbit, coming to witness the beginning of a new era in galactic history, one where a single human warning had changed everything. 3 Earth weeks passed since the intrepid standoff with the Duraxian ship. The single warship had retreated, but Captain Lisa Stewart knew they would return with reinforcements. Earth had responded to her call by sending 2 more ships, the Defiant under Captain Ryan Peters and the Horizon commanded by Captain Frank Martinez. Admiral Paul Harrison arrived aboard the Horizon and called an immediate meeting with the Zerelian leadership. So these Duraxians want to wipe you out. Completely? Admiral Harrison asked. He was a tall man with gray hair and a stern face that had softened upon seeing the beautiful crystal beings. Crystal Song's body pulsed with blue light as the translator converted the musical tones of the Zerelian language. They believe we are resources, not people. Our crystalline forms contain rare elements they desire for their technology. They harvest us like minerals. The Admiral's face darkened. Where I come from, we call that slavery and genocide. You are not the first species to object to Duraxian methods, Crystal Song replied, but you are the first to stand against them. Others fear their technology in numbers. Lisa spoke up. Sir, the Zerelians have been teaching us about the galactic community. There's a council of species that maintains diplomatic relations. The Duraxians hold significant power there. Harrison nodded. Then that's where we need to make our position clear. He turned to Crystal Song. Can you arrange an introduction to this council? 2 days later, Lisa stood beside Admiral Harrison in a massive chamber carved from a single asteroid. Representatives from 23 spacefaring species sat in tiered seats around a central platform. Some looked almost human, while others were utterly alien, beings of pure energy, insectoid creatures with multiple limbs, and one species that appeared to be living clouds of gas. The Duraxian representative sat prominently in the front row, a tall, gray-skinned humanoid with 4 eyes and ridged bone structures framing its face. It wore ornate armor that glinted under the chamber's lights. A being that resembled a blue octopus floating in a transparent tank of liquid addressed them from a raised podium. The council recognizes the human delegation and grants them speaking privileges. Its voice came through small translation devices given to Lisa and Harrison. Admiral Harrison stepped forward. "I am Admiral Paul Harrison of Earth. We recently encountered the Xerelian refugees and learned of their situation. We are here to formally announce that humanity has entered into a protective alliance with the Xerelian people." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Duraxian representative stood abruptly, its 4 eyes narrowing. "These humans know nothing of galactic affairs," it said, voice deep and harsh. "The Xerelians are claimed property of the Duraxian Empire. Their bodies contain resources vital to our technological advancement. The Xerelians are sentient beings," Harrison replied calmly. "They cannot be property." The Duraxian made a dismissive gesture. "Your species is new to space. You do not understand how things work beyond your tiny world. The Duraxian Empire has conquered 17 planetary systems. Our technology is centuries beyond yours." Harrison remained unmoved. "Then I will make this simple for everyone to understand." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative. "Humanity issues a single warning to the Duraxian Empire and anyone else who might consider such actions. Do not harm our alien allies. Any aggression against the Xerelians will be met with the full force of human military capability." The chamber erupted with sounds, clicks, hisses, electronic tones, and voices as the representatives reacted. The Duraxian stepped forward, standing uncomfortably close to Harrison. "You would threaten the Duraxian Empire? Your ships are primitive. Your weapons are basic. You have no understanding of the forces you challenge." Admiral Harrison didn't step back. "Nevertheless, that is our position." After the council session, a representative of the Medusan collective approached them. The Medusans resembled tall, slender humans with skin that shimmered like polished metal. "Your warning was bold, humans," the Medusan said, "but the Duraxians do not respond to threats. They have destroyed entire civilizations that refuse their demands." "We're not threatening," Lisa said. "We're establishing a boundary." Back at the Xerelian moon, Commander Eric Bennett led efforts to establish a defense perimeter. The 3 human ships positioned themselves at strategic points around the moon, while Kate Franklin worked with Xerelian engineers to improve their shields. "Their crystalline technology stores energy in ways our systems never could," Kate explained to Lisa during a status briefing. "They can absorb weapon impacts and redirect the energy. If we can adapt this to our ships, we might stand a chance against superior firepower." Dr. Stephen Collins made another discovery as he studied Xerelian physiology. "Captain, their crystalline bodies can interface directly with our computer systems. They process information at light speed. One Xerelian connected to our main computer has improved processing efficiency by 300%. Lisa saw the potential immediately. "Can they help enhance our targeting systems? Weapons response time?" "Absolutely," Collins nodded eagerly. "But there's a moral question here. We'd be asking them to help us improve our weapons." Lisa considered this. "We'll ask for volunteers, make it clear what we're doing." To her surprise, when she presented the idea to Crystal Song, the Xerelian leader's body pulsed with bright colors that the translator couldn't quite interpret. "You ask permission?" Crystal Song seemed confused. "The Duraxians would simply take what they wanted." "That's not how we do things," Lisa explained. "We won't force help from anyone." Crystal Song's body glowed warmly. "This is why we believe your species might succeed where others failed. You have strong technology, but stronger. Principles. Within days, Xerelian volunteers were working with human engineers throughout the fleet. The ship's systems improved dramatically, and new defensive measures were developed combining human ingenuity with Xerelian crystal technology. Admiral. Harrison received a message from Earth after sending his report about the Galactic Council meeting. The response was clear. Protection of Xerelian allies authorized, additional ships being dispatched, diplomatic relations with Galactic Council approved. But before reinforcements could arrive, sensors detected a Doraxian battle group entering the system. 5 warships moving directly toward the moon. They're not slowing down, Eric reported from his tactical station, weapon signatures powering up. Lisa exchanged looks with Admiral Harrison, who nodded grimly. All ships, battle stations, Harrison ordered. Form defensive position Alpha. The 3 human vessels moved to intercept the Doraxian fleet, despite being outnumbered and outgunned. Open a channel, Harrison said. When the connection was established, he spoke in a voice that carried no hint of fear. Doraxian vessels, this is Admiral Paul Harrison of Earth. You were warned once. The Xerelians are under our protection. Withdraw immediately. The response came quickly. Your warning means nothing, human. You will learn your place in the galaxy today. Harrison's expression hardened. So be it. He turned to Lisa. Captain. Stewart, you may engage at your discretion. Lisa looked at her crew. Humans who had traveled across the stars only to find themselves defending a species they had just met against an empire they barely understood, yet none showed hesitation. Tactical, Lisa ordered. Target lead vessels, weapon systems only. Let's show them we mean business without starting a massacre. As the Intrepid moved forward to face the much larger Doraxian ships, Lisa whispered, quietly to herself, now we'll see if our warning has any teeth.